As a result, okay. As a result, I'll review the changes we've made to our programs and schedules later in today's meeting. As we are now back on Zoom, I'm going to take a moment here to remind you of our Zoom etiquette. As we are now starting our meeting, this is the time to mute yourselves. Check your microphone icon and just click on it to mute if you don't already see a red slash through it. Remember, this will also protect your privacy. And during today's meeting, you can unmute to comment, but then please remember to remute yourself. You can also use the chat feature to send questions to everyone, and you can leave the Zoom meeting at any time. Today, we will focus on our raffle quilt with updates from ILDI. We will also have show and tell. And after the meeting, you will all receive an email with instructions and a link that you can use to sign up online for one of ILDI's quilt packages if you're interested in making a block. All right, next slide. Okay, when we sent you the minutes, if there are any corrections or additions, unmute yourself and say so right now. And there usually aren't any because we have an excellent secretary and I don't hear anything. So I'm going to say the minutes are accepted as presented. Next slide, please. And our treasurer's report. I don't think Glenn is here. She told me she wouldn't make it today. And so I will just tell you that our revenue streams from Ways and Means and the junk table have been doing very well. So thank you to everybody who supports us that way. We are within $400 of breaking even. So we are in relatively good shape financially. We've also fully completed the accrual for the anniversary tea for this year. So we have $5,000 set aside at this point, earmarked for the anniversary tea and whatever costs we accrue for that. If there are no questions, and again, you can unmute and speak. But if there are no questions or comments, the report, somebody needs to mute themselves, please.
It's a financial report.
Whoever that is, could you mute yourself? If there's no questions or comments or corrections, the report can be accepted and filed for audit. And we'll move on to our next slide. I don't think we have any guests today, do we? And I know there's no new members, so let's just move on. Excuse me. February, we're planning a raffle basket. Tickets will be $2 each or 3 for $5, and they can be purchased through PayPal or by sending a check to our treasurer directly to Glenna Etheridge. I don't know yet what the exact basket will be. And we're on to show and tell now. Show and tell, when we get to your slide, we want you to unmute yourself and tell us about your submissions. And then when you finish, if you can remember to remute yourself. Next slide. Is Kamika here with us today? I don't think I noticed her in the participants list. So I don't think she's here. And so I'll just read what she's got written here. What do I get rid of? No.
We can read it, Michelle.
Can you? Because for me, it's partially blocked.
No, we can read it.
I'll read it, Michelle.
Okay.
Heirloom baby Henry that she finished late in the summer. She donated to DHS senior raffle because her daughter is in the senior class this year. She is hoping whoever wins this will enjoy it and treasure it. It took her 2 months to make.
How nice. I seem to. Here we are. I'm back. Huh. Okay. Wendy, we're up to you. Wendy Beaumont.
No, Wendy.
No, Wendy. All right.
Michelle, I can jump in if you want. It's
I can see it now.
Okay.
Just because it's spaced in a way that the side panel isn't interfering. 2 hats that Wendy made to be donated to the Giving Tree, and she got the pattern from Facebook, and they're beautiful. I like those. And then she's got the small counted cross stitch in a nice old frame. And then the Santa ornaments, which are made through the years on perforated paper with the Santas backed in fabric. They look very lovely and antique. Next slide, please.
Sorry. We are having an issue with controlling the Zoom
Okay,
and admitting people that are jumping back on the call.
okay. So we have Katie Carlin, and I know Katie's here.
I am here. So this quilt, I'm not a quilter. I'll start off by saying that I am not a quilter. But I wanted to do something for my daughter when she turned 50 years old, which was 3 years ago, almost now. So I brought the muslin squares to her little party, and I had some people sign it. And that's the quilt you see on the right. That's the back of the quilt. And I incorporated one of the pictures from her childhood on the left. It took me 2.5 years to put this thing together. But basically, I wanted to put it in show and tell because 3 people were instrumental in helping me get this thing finished, and Anna Gallo and Adele. And they really had lots of encouragement and a lot of help to get this thing finished. And then Linda Hogan did the quilting on her long arm machine. And so basically, this is a good advertisement for the quilt that we're going to be doing for our tea, because if I can do this, everybody should be able to step in and maybe do a square. So
Thank you. That's very encouraging.
yes, and it was fun to do, and it got me inspired to do some more. So that's a good thing.
It's just lovely.
Thank you.
All right, next slide. Kathleen, I know you're here.
Oh, goodness. Beware of what you say to yourself. So it was the Sunday before Christmas, and, I had been putting off for, 20 or 21 years, making my oldest grandchildren their Christmas stockings. So this is the 16th and 17th Christmas stockings that I have made, but I made both of them in 6 days.
Wow.
Which was really not too smart. By Christmas Eve, my hand, arm, shoulder was numb, but I got it done. But they're not, totally done. I have to take them apart and put the decorations on the trees and the Santas and the loops and all the finishing parts. But they were ready for Santa to fill them. So I'm glad they're done.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Luke, who are you holding? Carolyn, who are you holding?
Jesus.
And Julia, who are you holding?
Mary.
What does everybody say?
Thank you, Kathleen.
This is a very special gift. Thank you so much. She made these.
Mommy,
Isn't that incredible?
can I cow? Can I
Julie, what do you think?
It's like amazing.
It's like amazing. I
Can
agree.
we put it in our room?
We can put it. Yes.
Do it in our
Those are my sister Nancy, who will be 85 in June. Those are her great grandchildren. And I had made a nativity some years ago, but I was at Joann's last Christmas time and I got this marked down 75% off. I said, oh, no problem. I can make those. Oh my goodness, never again. The first nativity I made, they were very easily done. They were like little weebles. So they didn't have arms and legs. These people had underwear and socks and sandals and but I did get it done, which is it was a Christmas miracle. Anyway, those kids are so darn cute. There's 4 of them. There was one on the floor with his bottle that you didn't see, but there's 4 of them under 6. So I hear from the mother that those things are still in one piece. So there you go.
Kathleen?
Kathleen, they're beautiful. Knitted or crocheted?
Knit. Yeah. Knit.
Kathleen,
Absolutely
Yes.
does Joseph have a mask or is he just cold?
That is he has a knitted beard cowl.
Oh, that's a beard.
That's a
Okay.
beard. Yeah. I think kids
Okay.
thought it was a mask too. So
Yeah,
there
I
you
thought
go.
he was, with the times.
Yeah, with the times. Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Thank you.
I have a comment from Jules.
Oh,
She says she loves the baby Jesus in the spaghetti.
I do too. The spaghetti. Well, you was you were supposed to cut those loops, but I thought, oh my gosh, if I cut the loops, they'll be all over the house. So I left it as spaghetti, and I did tie baby Jesus down into his little wrap there. I figured they'd be chewing on it. So it's still in one piece. I do have the rest of the nativity. If anybody wants to volunteer to the 3 kings, the star, the donkey, and the angel, just call me.
What? No camel?
Yeah, there's no camel. Thank God. All right, I'm done.
Gail, are you here?
I'm here.
There she is.
Okay. When Betsy Black and I were in Japan a few years ago before COVID, we were looking for Japanese silk, which our guide didn't seem to know too much about how to find fabric stores and things like that. But one day we were at a flea market kind of thing, craft fair. I don't know what it was exactly, but she found a bunch of silks from old kimonos, I think, for us. And we decided to, get them. I mean, she bought them for us. So of course we reimbursed her and share them when we got home. And I had this table that was really in bad shape that I wanted to cover because it just looked so disgusting. So I made this quilt to go on the top, and it was so much easier to just take a picture of it than to take the glass off the table and bring the quilt in, that I couldn't resist showing it today. And Betsy's making one now too, a quilt out of these fabrics.
That's
Different.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Not done.
All right, Catherine.
So this is English paper piecing. It's all done by hand. And I'm teaching this class out in Franklin, and it has, when it's finished, it's going to be 52 by 52. When I first agreed to teach this, I thought it was a pillow size. So it was a little bit of a shock. So I'm continuing to work on the outside circle, but it's a lot of work. I don't think I would have ever done it. I'm chosen to do it because it keeps me from doing other things, but I do love it. But it's from Tula Pink is the pattern.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you. I'm sitting here working on one of the outside. Oh, you guys can't, I don't know, maybe you can. One of the outside blocks. And so I want the blocks on the outside to have a black edge around them, because the background is going to go on a backing fabric that looks like graph paper with sketches of all the animals in this fabric line. At least that's the plan.
You know, for that, I would learn English paper piecing.
Yeah, it's really a challenge. It's not hard. It's the shapes and the manipulating something that size. That's tough, but yeah, I'm actually quite happy with it.
Wow.
But my arm was dead. It's the same kind of a thing. I was trying to meet a deadline with, Kathleen. It's like you keep going and you can't feel yourself anymore.
All right, there we go. Adele, you're next.
Oh, okay, here I am, sorry. Okay, this first one is just those little gnomes that are made out of toilet paper rolls for the brims of their hats. And I put it on a little garland, and I did it in pink and green for my little granddaughter, Ivy. They're very easy to make. If everybody's ever made them, they're about 1.5 inches of paper towel roll and yarn and cotton ball up in the hat when you finish the hat, and then you add a pom-pom and a wooden bead for the nose. Pretty easy.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Yeah, they're fun. They're a lot of fun.
They are cute.
And you can make them as individual ornaments if you don't want to string them on a garland. And then there's Max. Max was born in October, Ivy's little brother. And Ivy got blocks, so I had to make Max some blocks. And those show all the sides of the blocks with his name on one side, and then just different fun pictures on it so that he can learn his words and colors and whatnot. They were made of 4-inch plastic canvas. You need 6 for each cube. Thank God he's only got 3 letters in his name. It's really Maxwell, but they call him Max, so I went with Max. 4-ply yarn. Then you whip stitch them together when you finish with each little side, and you add a few bells inside so they jingle. Actually, I have them here. You can hear them. So they jingle. And they're kind of fun, and they're good for babies because they're big and they can hold them and they don't break. So that's all.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Sandra, you're next.
This is one of my favorite pieces, it's a mandala. Basically because I loved making all the different buttons. All those little round things are wooden discs that I drilled a hole and then just covered them with thread and string and things, and the little Dior roses sort of. It's been in a couple of shows. It's never sold, but it's going to be on my bedroom wall. The background is monk's cloth, as is the actual mandala, if you could see it on the right image to the left. And then the right side of the right image is just cotton perlé in a satin stitch, if you could call it that, just over the side of the ring.
Please, would you bring me my tea?
I think that's Elizabeth. Elizabeth has her microphone on. I recognize them. So, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Sandra. How big is it?
Oh, I was afraid you were going to ask me. All right. The circle itself is about, I would say, 9 inches. And the frame must be, I would say, around 20. It's in my bedroom, but I'm too lazy to go and measure it. And
It's
it's
beautiful.
got, thank you. And that's about it.
Thank you, Sandra. That is stunning.
Thank you.
Next, we're up to Barb. I know you're here, Barb.
Unmuted. There it goes.
There.
I said I had a request for the green dragon from someone whose daughter had one 2 or 3 years ago. And when I went to check the picture out, I realized she had wings on her dragon. So I thought, well, she's expecting wings again. And then I didn't know what shade of green. So I did this one. And this is the one that she chose. I don't know, Kristen, you've got the other one up there someplace? And there's the other one. So this green one on the right here is soft. He's just so much softer and so much more elegant to hold on to, but she chose the bright green one. So that one went to New Hampshire right here. And the other one is in the shop in Newburyport, as far as I know. And then the other on the next page is the last hat. I've just done one more paint box hat and I just like those colors. So that's the yarns and the dragons. And that's it, I think.
Well, the dragons are outstanding.
I've gone through 8 dragons this year.
I could see why they're popular.
So this is number 8, and the others have all sold and gone someplace else. So that's been kind of exciting.
How big is the dragon?
The dragon's about, it's the length, your hand fits into the mouth and it comes up to your elbow. So it's about 18 to 20 inches. From here, because your hand fits in the mouth part. Yeah, that's why I call them an arm dragon, because it covers your arm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Great. All right, Heidi Lee.
Hello?
There you are.
Here I am. Oh my gosh. I had technical difficulties, so I'm only on my cell phone.
Oh.
So, yeah. This is a wool on wool applique buttermilk basin design. And then I placed it on a cotton backing, which I've never done before. And then I was like, oh boy, now I've got to quilt it or tack it. So it's done, I tacked it, the layers together, because there is a batting and a binding, with a technique called crow's foot tacking. So it doesn't lay as smooth as I wanted it to, but I mean, it is thick. So it was a lot of fun to do. I love the buttermilk basin design. If you've never never seen them. They're very, very cute, and it's a wonderful website to go to.
Well, I just love the deer and the Christmas tree. They're just so pretty.
Yes, the woman who does the designs is very prolific. She does some very cute snowman, and she has a store actually, but it's out in the Midwest.
Are we ready for the next slide? Oops, there we are. Still with Heidi.
I've joined the local quilt guild up here in Laconia, and we had a huge quilt show in September, and they have a attic corner. No, it's not called attic corner. It's called something else. You make things and donate to the guild, and they sell them and keep the profit. So all of these little guys got sold, little wool snowmen.
They're very cute.
Love all the cardinals.
Yes. I think.
Thank you.
And I like the patch on the one of the snowmen to the right. He's cute. And their little button eyes are cute too. Very nice.
Yeah, they were fun to make. And I took a walk down my street, and there's some wild grapevine. That's what the arms are.
So Heidi, is it roving?
No, it's a textured wool fabric that I had on hand. And so they're sewn on the machine.
Did you weight the bottom, Heidi, so they'd stand up, or are they filled with beads, or how'd you get them to stand up?
I weighted the bottoms, and then I cover a heavy cardboard round disc with the fabric. I glue that on, and then I hand sewed that disc to because the bottom of the snowman is, it's drawn up on a needle on gathering threads.
Okay.
And so then I glue the fabric covered disc onto the bottom, and they stand up really nicely.
There you go. We need erect snowmen.
Heidi, what did you make the birds out of? How did you make the birds?
I purchased the birds. I think some little lady in China spent her days making them. They were expensive too. I have a cardinal that visits me every day, and I don't think he would want me to pluck him to get the red feathers. I think that's what sold the snowmen, was the cardinals.
I think you're right. They're so sweet.
So Heidi, is that your pattern? Did you come up with the hats for them?
It was a pattern that had come into the guild's junk table, and they put it out that maybe somebody could make some of these. And so, of course, I volunteered.
Of course you did. Oh boy, they're great. They're so, make some more.
I
I'll
might.
be up to get one.
Yeah. We'll put our orders in now.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Are we ready for the next slide? Yep.
So on the left is a whirligig ball I made for my granddaughter for Christmas. It's all batiks, all hand sewn. each little section is stuffed very tightly. So her little hands can pick up the ball by just grabbing one of those sections. The pattern came from a book that I got off the junk table at ECNG years ago, because I remembered someone had made one for my daughter when she was a baby and she enjoyed it. And so it's been a hit. She loves her whirligig ball. And I thought, oh, as I started making it, I'll make a number of these for the guild sale next year. One and done. One, one and done. And the other slide is a sweater that I knit for my granddaughter. And then I found out that she doesn't like sweaters. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe by the time she's large enough to wear this, she'll like sweaters. But it's actually a very pretty shade of lavender. The picture doesn't do its justice. It's a sleeveless, like a sweater vest cardigan.
It's very cute. Heidi, don't listen to the mother. The kid doesn't know if it likes sweaters or not. Right? I love these young mothers. Oh, my baby doesn't like sweaters. Like, how do you know? Anyway,
Put it over a
sorry.
little turtleneck and the arms and everything will be covered. So
It's
it won't feel the heat.
adorable. It's adorable. Yes.
Yeah, it could
I
be
like
used.
I like Susan McAndrews' suggestion to tell her it's a dress.
Yes.
Rebrand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. I think I will do that.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I want to tell you all, while I have your attention, that I miss you all dreadfully. And there's nothing in this whole country like ECNG.
Oh, Heidi.
And I listened to, I believe, Katie make her quilt, and she said she had, if Katie had never joined ECNG, she never would have met the people who supported her in making that quilt.
Right.
It's such a wonderful, supportive group, and I hope you all cherish your membership.
We miss you, Heidi.
We miss you. We miss you.
I'll get down once you get off this Zoom thing.
Yeah, once it's safe again.
We
Yeah.
miss you too.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Heidi. And I would agree with everything you said. I have made things that I would never have done before joining the guild. Again, because I found that same kind of support with the guild. I found my people when I came to the guild.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. Yes, that's true.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I'd like to second that. And as a newcomer, I was so welcomed by everybody. And the thing I love about it, it's all disciplines. You're not just, guild, quilt or embroidery or whatever. It's everything and anything you could think of. And so you
Yeah.
do a lot, and everybody's willing to give.
Yeah, I would say I think our variety is our strength.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that. Because I so admire, for instance, Sandra's mandala there. It is so beautiful, and we understand the time and the thought and the skill that it took to make that. But
And the
I
creativity.
I can look at those things and admire them so much and say to myself, oh, it's okay that I don't need or want or have the skills to make it. I just love knowing the person that did make it.
Mhm.
Mm, yeah, but that, her creativity, to be able to come up with those ideas. And so much of what we're about is an exchange of ideas.
True.
Well, thank you so much for all your kind words, Heidi.
Yes, and I will show up one of these days.
That would be wonderful. Can we, there we are. We're up to Marjorie now. I'm not sure if Marjorie's with us today. I'm guessing she's not. So I know she loves and made all those beautiful needle felted birds. And you can see the chickadee and everybody. Chickadees, cardinals, bluebird, just wonderful work that she does. All right. Thank you, everybody who participated in Show and Tell. It was great fun. On to our programs. So later on for January, we're going to be having information from Ildi, who will give us a status of our raffle quilt. In February, we have Gretchen Gibbons will be our presenter, and she will be including information about wool applique on a fabric background. We are proposing 3 different wool applique on fabric backgrounds for the member quilt, not the raffle quilt, which we will show you in February with color and design variations for most of the 3 patterns that we have selected. We can then review these again in March when we will actually do the vote on the quilt pattern that you get to choose. That's because we're hoping to be meeting in person in March, which would make it easier to do the vote, which is why we've postponed it. We've also postponed the mask challenge to March. And since I know how much the members love the member-to-member classes, we have postponed these to March since it is easier to teach and see these classes in person. So hopefully we will be getting back to meeting live in March, but who knows? We just do the best we can. Next slide, please. And now this is one of the quilts in the proposal of the 3. And this is one of the quilts that Gretchen Gibbons, who our speaker for February, has designed herself. And we actually have bought her pattern, which is in a book that she sells, along with some other patterns in the book. So she's a big contender for the vote in March on which quilt pattern we want to make. All 3 quilts are going to be wool applique on a fabric background. So we might need Heidi's help on that technique, but hopefully Gretchen will also be able to tell us how to do that. Next slide, please. And this is another variation of that same quilt, and you can see that it's done in a number of different colors and shapes and quilting and whatnot. So we've covered that, and the mask challenge categories are prettiest mask, best use of colors, and most techniques used. And all 3 categories will win junk bucks. So,
Hey,
so get your,
what are you doing down there?
get your masks made up and ready, and you've got a little extra time since the judging will now be in March. Can I have the next slide, please? And now we're going to turn this over to Ildi, who has a gorgeous presentation that you're all going to love. So Ildi, if you're ready.
I am. Thank you, Michelle. So I just wanted to, the picture of the quilt shown here is not our quilt. It was a picture, obviously it's not our quilt, but it's not even going to be the quilt that we do. But it did provide the inspiration for what we collectively decided to do. And I would say, I think the colors, the blue and white, resonated with people. The fact that it was on point resonated with people. But it's got, in this particular quilt, there's an awful lot of needle turn applique, and there are precious few needle turn appliqueurs in ECNG. So all of our blocks will be pieced. There'll be no applique at all, because that skill set is scarce in the group. But having said that, what I've done is I've used the software program called Electric Quilt, and you'll see it referred to in these slides as EQ8. Kristen, if you could go to the next slide, please. In this software program, I can design individual blocks, and it's rendered here in this quilt that you see. There are more blocks than you see here that have been designed, only because
What are you getting into?
We'll need 25 blocks, and I have something north of that designed, because I'm sure that a few people won't be able to finish it. There'll be whatever issues. So when you get your block, if you select a block and you don't see it in this image, it may just be because it's one of the other extras that we set aside. The quilt will be about 80 inches square. The fabric that you see in the lower left-hand corner is the fabric that will be used in what's called the side setting square. So in the image, you see those triangles all along the outer edge, and in the image, it looks more yellowed. The background looks more yellowy than it actually is, and that's just because when I scanned it into EQ8, it went to muck around with the colors a bit. But it's kind of a Dutch blue, a kind of a Delft fabric. It's very pretty, and a lot of blues go with it. So you will see when we get to some of the blocks, every block is a scrap block. So there's a bunch of different blues, of different shades of blue, and that will work. If we can go to the next slide, please, Kristen. Oh, you didn't, we might not have pulled the most recent, okay. The kit contents that I have. So I have 27 kits, I think, put together. Each of the kits.
Come on, YouTube.
Someone's not muted, please mute. Each of the kits will come in an envelope. It'll have instructions. It'll have the fabrics. The fabrics will all be the kit will be marked with all the fabrics. There's two different kinds of kits. There's a few kits that are paper pieced, as this example is, and then there are others that are traditionally pieced. So this is an example. The paper piecing, if you're a paper piecing quilter, this would resonate with you. And then the next slide is a traditional pieced kit. So and you see, so there's a lot of things going on in this slide. Let me describe. If you get a kit in the lower left, that computer image with the color picture and the diagram. So this is what EQ8 provides in a block. When I print out the block, so you'll get the cutting instructions. It'll tell you how many to cut and so forth. And then in the one that I've annotated just above that in the black and white drawing, I've actually written in where your fabrics will go. So you can't see, it's kind of small, but each of those pieces is marked as A, B, C, or D. The fabrics are marked accordingly. So now you can, you see that, see the handwritten, go to the handwritten part in the, there you go. So that coordinates, that's the coding for the fabrics. Anything that's blank is the background fabric. Every kit has background fabric in it. And then the fabric pieces that are included in your kit are noted accordingly. Any questions? Okay, let's go to the next slide. So a few people in December's meeting, a few people, I had a handful of kits made up. And so a few people took blocks. This was a paper pieced block that Alice Jordan completed. It's a circle of geese. It's really gorgeous. Very, very pretty. So she completed that one. I think I have 3 or 4 more, Kristen. This one I think I showed in the December meeting. I did this one. Let's go to the next one. Marcella completed the Ohio Star. Is there another? I think there's 1 or 2 more. I know, yeah. Catherine did Starry Time. And oh, we missed, okay, so there was 1 more, sorry to miss it. Merritt had done one that we must have missed it, Kristen, in the update of the slides. So now I'm going to show you.
I can try to go get that OneDrive right now.
It might be better because I made a good bit of changes yesterday. If we can take a second. While Kristen's doing that, does anybody have questions? I'm gonna, once Kristen brings it up, I'm gonna show you the drawings for the remaining blocks. What I'm gonna ask you to do as we share that is, if you're interested in making a block, make note of the block number. And you might be interested in making, you couldn't do, I do 3, 5, or 7. Well, take a note of any that you want, and we're gonna ask you to log in and identify which blocks you want, and we'll ask you for your first, second, and third choices. And then I'll take some time after the meeting. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kristen.
Sorry.
So there's, yeah, the next one was a block done by, after Catherine's, by Merritt. Thank you. Let's go to the next. Okay. Oh, yeah. So there are a few slides. So I've been, like I said, the rest of the kits are done. They're all packaged in envelopes. The lower picture, you can see my palette of blues. I went through, these are all fabrics from my stash. And this is after I cut all the kits. So I had plenty of blues around, and I don't even like blue, to be perfectly honest. So the kits will be ready to distribute. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, we showed this one, showed this one. Okay, so let's talk about the kit content. So all the fabric you will need is included in your packet. They are not cut to finish size. So if you need a 2-inch square somewhere, I haven't cut the 2-inch square. I've given you a piece of fabric for you to cut the 2-inch square.
And I have to say, the kits were very generous. I had a lot of left over.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask for the leftovers back because as I say, they were cut generously. I don't want little slivers, obviously, but we may be able to make something else with any leftover fabric. And also, I would say, don't assume if you use a square in there, don't assume the outer edges are straight, because I literally just hacked off stuff from my fabric. I could have nicked into it from some other cut. So recut anything on the outside. Don't assume it's a nice, clean, fresh cut. If you do run out of fabric, and I know when Alice Jordan did her paper piece one, she ran out of background. When you paper piecing has a lot of waste. So I had not allowed for enough background. So I just delivered her some more background. No, it was no big deal. So if you run out, don't hesitate to call me. as I said, the black and white image is marked. The diagram of the block with cutting instructions are included, except for paper piecing blocks. The paper piecing blocks, if you needed 4 sheets to do your block, I probably included at least 6, so I included extra. The cutting instructions are from EQ8. For those of you that are experienced quilters, it does not give instructions to do half square triangles. They have you cut triangles piece by piece. It does not give you instructions to do fast flying geese units. So you may, if you're an experienced quilter, you may choose to piece it differently than how EQ8 has told you to do it. That's up to you, but at least you have, for those of you that are less experienced or want to follow those instructions, it's right there and it's pretty clear. I'm also be including a list of online resources for those of you that may not be as experienced as doing some of these things. Like there's at least 4 different ways of doing half square triangles. And I've included online resources of YouTube videos and whatnot for you to look at and reference if you want to do that. So all that will be in your kit. Now let's go to the blocks. So I've got the blocks grouped by easy, moderate, and challenging. I will confess, because I'm a pretty experienced quilter, what I think is easy may not be what someone else thinks is easy. I really tried to find easy blocks. They were hard to come by. When we're dealing with 12-inch blocks, if you do 5 squares and put them together, it's just not going to appeal to quilters. It just isn't. So I've worked really hard to try to find easy things. They were hard to come by. I would suggest that if, like, a lot of the blocks have half square triangles. Most every block has half square triangles. So I would encourage you, to look at the online resources, or maybe even buddy up with, maybe have 2 people buddy up, one that is more experienced than the other, and the experienced person does the more complex components, like maybe does the flying geese, and then the less experienced person assembles it. I mean, there's different ways to attack this. The finished size of, somebody asked a question, the finished size of the block is 12 inches. And so some, like this one, this particular one, block 20, to me, I put in the easy category because these are 3-inch square, half square triangles, which are pretty big. They're pretty easy to manipulate. So I categorize that as easy. Again, some of you may not agree with that. I did the best I could. So this is block 20. Now I have 2, there's 2, yeah, let's go to the next one. These 2 are paper pieced. So if you like paper piecing is fairly straightforward. Well, you have to know how to do it. There's some tricks, but again, there's all kinds of YouTube videos out there to help you. Arabian Nights, block 8. So that has 8 different components, each of which has 3 different fabrics in it. So on a paper piecing, you sew and you flip and you sew and you flip. And if you haven't done it, that doesn't make sense, but I'm sure many of you have done it. The one on the right is a little bit more challenging. It's got a couple pieces to every one of those fans. So that's 2 pieces. I'll pause. Any questions so far? Okay, let's go to the next one. Like I say, jot down, make a note as to which one of these you might be interested in, because we'll ask you to log in and mark them. So these I put as easy to intermediate, only because they're smaller units, so they're a little trickier. But again, the one on the left, Bejeweled, is squares and rectangles and half square triangles. So it's fairly straightforward, just as I say, a little smaller pieces. The one on the right is the same sort of thing. Again, Night's Delights, block 23, and Lost Ships, those are a lot of half square triangles. The one on the left, actually, I think is fairly straightforward. You've got some pretty big squares in the middle, and then some smaller half square triangles around the outer edge. Block 15, this the first one uses a lot of flying geese, which is a common technique in quilting. And there's a way to do rapid fire flying geese, and there'll be resources in the sheet in your kit if you want to try that. And then Lover's Lane on the right uses squares, half square triangles, and something called square in a square. Next slide. So now we're into the intermediates. I put these as intermediates because the one on the left, I have a dream. There's a little trickiness to that inner star. Well, not tricky, just smaller pieces. My theory is the smaller the piece, the more challenging it is. Was there a question? And then the same thing on the right, the inner star is fairly small. The rest of it, the outer star is half square triangles and flying geese. Block 22, if you know how to do flying geese, that's actually a pretty easy block. The one on the right, Contrary Wife, is flying geese, half square triangles. So you see a lot of these are in our raffle quilt will be a lot of it will be focused on different shapes of stars. And among my fabrics, I think almost every fabric I used was used in at least 3 different blocks. So there's some continuity, even though it's a scrap quilt, there'll be continuity amongst the blocks. Go to the next one. Sunshine Lily, again, the small scale, and circling overhead, block 30. So that's kind of funky. It's a pretty block. It had flying geese kind of in the 4 corners, which is interesting. And by the way, most of these blocks, a lot of these blocks I pulled from free online resources. And so I would appreciate it when you get your kits. I didn't want to post the kits anywhere online because I don't want to violate any rules that these people had, that most of them that put free blocks out there say, single use only, that sort of thing. So I'm going to ask the people not widely copy and share these. But if you're really interested, if you want your block, I can certainly tell you what URL, what website you can find it in. But most of these were blocks that I found on the internet, and then I drew them in EQ8. Let's go next one. Forest Campfire, again, flying geese. Coronation, more flying geese, half square triangles, small in scale. I didn't come up with these names, by the way. Next, Hands of Friendship, Star of Luxor. I really like that one. That was so pretty. Well, I like all of them. By the way, Kristen, you're going to post this slideshow, so if people want to go back and look at these blocks and review them in more detail, you'll post it out there.
Yes.
Thank you. Go to the next one. Thistle Bloom. All right, then I think we have a handful of what I called experienced, really challenging ones. So promises to keep, you see those funky angles, those elongated rectangles. So that was a little bit of a challenge. And then Scrapbook Square, I put, sorry for my clock, it'll stop in a second. Scrapbook, I know, but now it's going to chime. It'll be the longest chime, 11 o'clock. The Scrapbook Square has some sew and flip. So when I say sew and flip, it's like you see that half square triangle with the mid blue and the light blue, and then it's got triangles on the top and along the side. So you make a half square triangle, and then you add another triangle by sewing and flipping it. Anyway, most quilters will know what that means. So I put these into the experienced category. I think there may be Delectable Mountains. Same thing, a lot of half square triangles. Oh, and then this one even has, it's hard to describe where that piece is, but if you look at that, square that's headed straight up, there's a piece of that mid blue that's kind of a rectangle that has sew and flip on either side of it. So that's I put that into the challenging category. And then same thing on the block 29. There you can see it a little clearer. The darkest blue in there has a sew and flip light triangle on the top and on the bottom, or left and right, depending upon which piece of it you're looking at. Not hard, but I think you need to have a little experience under your belt to feel comfortable doing that. And I will say, I've tried to be generous with the fabrics. If you make a mistake, and maybe you made a mistake, maybe I made a mistake by not providing enough, do not even think about calling me. I can get you more fabric. That's the benefit of having it from my stash. I made sure that I kept fabric, a piece of each of the fabrics. So if anybody either makes a mistake and needs more fabric, or I made a mistake, I can get more fabric to you quickly. I think there may be one last one. Oh, two. Okay, block 38. I put this into the difficult category because those half square triangles are 1 inch finish. So it takes some precision to be able to get points that will look sharp in that. And then Lori's star, the one on the right, has some tricky piecing on the middle, the outside middle sections of those can be a little tricky. I think that may be the end of the kits. So a general comment. So when after we get the signups online, I'll go through and figure out who, looking at first, second, third choices, make assignments. We'll arrange to have these kits delivered. When we deliver, we'll ask for a $5 deposit. You'll get that $5 back when you submit your completed block. Please, if you get your kit and you can't make it for whatever reason, I don't know, you could have to go out of town unexpectedly. It could be harder than you thought. I don't care what the reason is. Just let me know as soon as you can, so I can either reassign it or get another block prepared for somebody. I don't want to get to the end of January or get to February and realize we're short of blocks. So don't feel bad. Just let me know. As I mentioned, the buddying up concept, you may be something to consider. And then please return any pieces that are meaningful in size. I think there's one more slide or two more slides. All these fabrics in your kit have been pre-washed. I'm a nut about pre-washing fabric. I like the shrinkage to happen before the quilt is made, not after the quilt is made. If you decide that if you for some reason have run out of fabric, or you ruin some fabric, I'm okay if you use one of your own fabrics. I would prefer you didn't. But if you do, pre-wash it. You cannot, though, substitute the background fabric. We need the background fabric to be common. When you assemble your block, please press the seams to one side and use opposing seams when joining. And there'll be instructions. I think most quilters know what opposing seams are, or butting of seams. It helps keep a nice, clear, a sharp meeting, if you will. And because these are a lot of dark blues with white, anything that's off is just gonna scream at you. So using butting seams really helps keep nice joinery. The block should be 12.5 inches square when they're done, so that they'll finish to 12 inches. Please check, as you make a component, if you make a half square triangle and it's supposed to be, a finished size of 2 inches, make sure that it's 2.5 inches when you start. So allowing for the seam allowance. So as you do join piece by piece, just measure. So if you need to fix something, you need to fix it when it's easy to fix, not when your whole block is done. If we get blocks that don't measure up to meeting the size requirement, we may be unable to use them. So please be careful for any blocks that we don't use. we will set them aside and hopefully be able to use them in a table run or something else to help maybe the raffle table or some such thing. As I said, I've made like 10 extra blocks. So I expect to put some aside, or some people may not be able to complete there. So that was accounted for. And we're asking the blocks be ready for February, our February meeting. Since we're not going to meet in person, let me know when your block is ready and we'll try to make arrangements to pick them up. We're going to try to do it geographically. So if you live in an area and you let me know it's done, I may reach out to the neighboring people in your area and check with them and pick it up when all is done. So we're not running to 30 different houses every week. Is there another slide? So I appreciate your time. I appreciate all the time that you'll put into this and volunteering. I hope those of you that made blocks enjoyed the process. I don't know if you have if any of you want to comment on it or anyone has questions, I'll open it up to the floor.
I have a question, LD.
Yep.
Thread.
Ah.
What color and what fiber type and what brand throughout the quilt?
Thank you. That was an excellent question. I hadn't considered that. I used a kind of mid-range beige color thread. I wouldn't go dark because there's a lot of I'd go just like one shade beyond darker than the background fabric. I wouldn't go any darker than that because there'll be a lot of thread where it's your light to light. There'll be thread that using block light to dark. So I would go closer, just a tad darker than the background fabric. I would use 100% cotton thread. I don't care the brand, but I would use 100% cotton thread. And
back up on a Zoom.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
So I would use absolutely 100% cotton thread. The weight I would use, whatever sewing. Certainly don't use quilting weight thread. I can't remember, the sewing weights are vary manufacturer by manufacturer, but Joanne sells fine fabric, Gutermann's or Mettler, and as long as it's a standard weight, not the quilting weight, that'd be fine.
Okay, so close to the background color.
Yep.
Thank you.
Ildi, my comment is, I just can't believe how much work has been done and what a wonderful job you have done. This is Betsy. It just looks so organized. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was fun. I like doing this, so it's fun.
I have one quick question. These are all different blocks. There's no duplicates. I mean, you're not getting two of any of these blocks. It's just single block, one block of each design. That's what I'm asking.
That's one block of each design. Nothing. There's no duplicates.
So there's not three people making the same block. It's just one block per person. Okay, just curious.
Absolutely. Yep.
And it's beautiful. Thank you so much. It's wonderful what you've done.
Ildi, I have a question. Are you going to be squaring them off, or should we square them off before we send them out back to you?
I'll square them off.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Then they'll all be done by the same person.
Yeah. So the seam allowance is 1/4 of an inch. Some people call it a scant quarter. I mean, in the instructions, I say, if you're not sure, I would take, and I can't remember what I say in the instructions, but take 2 strips of scrap fabric. Let's say they're 2 inches wide, and sew them together. And when you sew together 2 scraps of fabric that are 2 inches wide, you're going to lose 1/4 of an inch on each side. So you should end up with something after you press it at 3.5 inches. So do a sewing test. So if you're not sure, if you're not, then, and if you're bigger or smaller than 3.5, then you can adjust then before you get into the block. That's what I encourage people to do that aren't sure, that haven't been long-time quilters.
Good idea.
I have a question. I have an additional question.
Mm-hmm.
You're expecting these to be sewn on the machine, not hand pieced, correct?
Yeah, I expect them on the machine. If someone wants to hand piece, I don't. That's up to you. I mean,
Okay,
it'll end up looking the same. To someone looking at a completed quilt, they won't know the difference.
okay.
I have a
Well, I think,
question. So when does the selection process begin, or when do we submit the numbers that we are interested in?
So I would, please take today and tomorrow. I'm not available tomorrow, so I'll probably, Friday would probably be my first opportunity to go in and look at signups and start to make some selections. And then I will email people that have submitted requests with what block number they have. And then my next step will be to look geographically where everybody is and set some dates, some delivery dates, probably early next week, where, you know, weather dependent. I'm retired, so I can take the time to drive around, or I could, you know, drive it, you know, if there's somebody down in the, I don't know, near New Hampshire or something, I could drop off, you know, 3 quilt kits to people in that area if they wish to do local deliveries. Well, we'll figure that out. Once I know who's signed up and I look at them geographically, we'll figure out how to best do this. But they'll be delivered. They probably won't be mailed. I mailed out when Alice Jordan ran out of some background fabric. I just took a little piece of fabric to the post office to mail it to Salem, $4.80. So we're not gonna mail them.
Okay, so where do you sign up? Where is the sign up?
You will get an email.
Oh, I need him. All right. Thank you.
In that email will be a link to view the presentation that Ilda gave today with all of the block numbers,
Okay.
as well as a link to a Google form where you'll be able to put your first, second, and third choices.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Hilda, would it help if somebody, if we wanted to pick it up from you? I mean, I'm in Salem, I can come to Topsfield easily. If that would help.
I can pick mine up too.
Okay.
Sure. I got the best Christmas gift. I now in my driveway have a drop box. So I can always put them in my drop box. Although both UPS and FedEx came yesterday and neither one of them used the drop box. But anyway.
Anyway,
Anyway,
need a neon sign that points to it.
Yeah. Then yeah. So I have that's absolutely that'd be fine.
All right. Thank you so much, Ildi, for everything you've done. And you know I will help you with any deliveries you want. I can handle all of the Beverly, Danvers, Essex, Hamilton area if you need it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Can we get back to the slides?
What is that?
I don't. All right, you want to use that, Kristen?
Again,
the Wheel of Fortune.
Well,
Who's gonna be Vanna?
I have my names all printed out here in my little bag, so we can go either way. And take us back to the slides, and I'll explain to everybody what we're talking about.
This is funny.
We have a small basket, and I'm calling it a winter kitchen gourmet basket. And it has a beautiful red and white kitchen, soft kitchen towel in it. And it has, what is it? Salted caramel sauce and sour cherry jam and crackers and a triple fudge brownie mix and 2 bright colorful placemats with matching napkins and a little needle felted Santa pin, and as you can see from the outside, a couple of beaded snowflakes on the outside that you can hang as ornaments. So it's kind of a little cute little basket. I have it right here with me, and we are giving this away today, and we were trying out 2 different methods of how to choose a winner. And I was able, while Ildi was talking, to print out the names of the attendees and cut them up. And so I am going to draw a name from my little bag. And so the winner is Sandra Goldbear. Yay! Congratulations, Sandra.
Congrats there.
And I will be happy to drive up and visit you and deliver your basket.
That's even better. Thank you.
Okay. Next slide, please. All right, so we are at the end of our meeting. We want to remind you that and this date is wrong here. It's not January 15th, but it will be January 19th on a Wednesday as usual for the board meeting, which will now be on Zoom. Don't forget your February 2nd meeting will have Gretchen Gibbons about wool applique and very important to our anniversary member quilt. March 2nd will be a meeting that has just a lot going on. It's going to have the member to member. It's going to have the mask challenge. We're going to vote on the 50th anniversary membership quilt. So there'll be a lot going on there. If you are spending the next month or two staying safely at home, please consider getting a quilt block from Ildi to work on. And also, we just want to remind you that while we are adapting to the pandemic by changing our venue and our schedule of activities, we may also need to change March and/or April. So we ask that you be flexible and keep an eye on your email for changes and updates. You can expect announcement of changes on the Wednesday before a scheduled meeting, so about a week in advance of any meeting. And then thank you all for joining us. I hope you enjoyed today's meeting. And if there is no other business, this meeting is adjourned, and I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Kristen.
Very nice
everybody.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy New
you.
Year,
Good to
everybody.
see everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Goodbye.